Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Daz.
I'm Gaynor.
I'm Office Bloke Aidan.
Okay, before we start, if Patreon's your thing, click the link below. Check it out. Loads of stuff on there. Full watch-alongs. Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which we've just done one actually.
We have.
A new one. We're on series 3 already on that.
Yeah.
Modern Family.
Been on season 3 for quite a while, mate.
Yeah. Modern Family.
Seinfeld.
F is for Family. The Quarterback is the newest edition on there, isn't it?
Tier,
Yeah, so it starts at $3, goes all the way up to $5. So cheap as chips, as you say.
It is.
A bit of infographics here. This is what the rest of the world thinks of Americans. I don't really have an opinion.
No.
To be honest, I never
Well,
think of
you've lived there for a not long time to know anyway. You know what I mean? Like it's people
always
just
gonna get-
having that thought who never met one or never even been to America.
You're always going to get the stereotypical sort of like description of what people might think of a Brit or an American or a German or a, wherever you are in the world sort of thing. And it's it's one of them where I can never really tell a difference. It's hard for me to tell a difference between American and Canadian, for example.
Yeah, same.
You know, very similar accents, and it's hard to sort of like.
Going mad
I know, but that's some people say to us. I won't be able to tell the difference between an Englishman and a Welshman because we've got very similar accents.
We get more confused with Australians.
Yeah, Australian. Yeah,
I don't know how.
But what this is what the rest of the world think of Americans. Let's see what they've got to say.
Yeah.
Because you're an American.
Yep.
Really.
I'm not a true American though.
No.
Can someone tell me why Americans always leave the AC on, even if they go out all day? This question we saw last night posted on an online forum by a disgruntled hotel owner. What followed were reams of insults, generalizations, arguments, peppered with the odd, intelligent, and temperate comment. That's par for the course online, but it's fortunate we saw that so soon before writing the show. We saw comments along the lines of, Americans are just arrogant and ignorant, as if 325.7 million people were molded into one monolithic entity. Then we saw, I'm American, and I leave the AC on as long as I like. I pay for it. See, people said, they all think the world owes them something. What about the environment? Driving around in their big cars and SUVs, throwing out more trash than anyone, and pretending to care about environmental disasters. This went on and on, with people casting aspersions against an entire nation. Others, of course, weren't so bad, calling out people for having a very limited understanding of a country and its cultural and intellectual diversity. But can we make such generalizations? Could we argue that many Americans embrace their individuality and their right to do what they want? They paid for that darn AC, and they will darn well do what they want with it. The fact is, we all sometimes are culpable of whittling down the world to a manageable size that fits within our sometimes uneducated preconceptions. We cannot say all Americans are this or that, but perhaps there might be underlying character traits to a culture, something data, evidence, or experience can provide us with. But in the end, most of us don't rely on data or objective reasoning and rely instead on an image, a construction that we've created out of a wanton bias. Number 5. Arrogance. As we said, much of the world thinks Americans are arrogant. You don't have to look hard online to find this out. We hear that they like nothing more than to plant flags around their houses, and they go on and on about how great their country is, and by association that must mean how great they are.
It's untrue that about the association of how great the country is to how great the person is, and putting flags around. If you think about anything you like, for example, you like a sports team, you like a TV show or a movie, you hype it up, don't you? You talk about it a lot. And you sort of like said, especially, how often do we talk about football, for example, and Manchester City, and how we hype them up to be like, even when they're shit, we still hype it up to be really good. And that's what, you should be proud of your country, you should be proud of your nation.
It's confidence.
It's confidence and being proud, I'd say.
Yeah.
And it's over here at the moment, you put a bloody flag up and you get done.
Yeah.
So you take it down and it's because it's going to offend somebody for sticking the flag in your bloody garden. Yeah, I see that one when I come at work. I don't know if you go the same way to me to work when you're driving down the main road. That massive British flag that's flying outside that guy's house. You seen it?
No.
I'll show you next time we pass.
Even though they often didn't do that much to claim this superiority. As the American comedian Doug Stanhope once alluded, some flag wavers are like imperial hangers-on. Anyway, some people say this is why Americans are often so loud, and don't worry, there are plenty of articles and forum questions asking why American voices tend to drown out others, say, when abroad. we might ask if this has anything to do with that sense of patriotism. The great country, greatest, best in the world, no doubt, better than anyone else, and also the entitlement that comes from a place that espouses expressive individualism at all costs. The loud American is a much better known phrase than the great piece of literature called the quiet American. Forums are full of people talking about these loud people, demanding, expatiating, bragging, complaining, extolling the merits of good old America, and forcing some poor European into a quiet internal violence, wondering all the time, do they not realize they're being obnoxious? Where's the self-awareness? Hell yes, go America! Now this isn't of course true for all Americans, it's a stereotype, but it exists. If you don't believe us, check it out for yourself. You could be reading for a year, even though it's fantastically unrealistic and arrogant to think the stereotype is true for all people in the USA. What we hope to do is point out such stereotypes, and we can discuss them after the show. Now, on to the next. Number 4. Ignorance. All countries attempt to imbue a sense of nationalism in their people. It's how they get soldiers to fight wars, to believe in the country, to create a sense of belonging and cooperation. But do nations attempt to foster ignorance in people? Well, you might have read some critics saying the American school system is purposely trying to dumb down its citizens. They want workers, robots, not creative, critical, skeptical kids that might ask too many questions. Hail the idiocracy! We're not saying this is true, it's a criticism leveled by some people, but we can say that much of the world thinks Americans are ignorant. Well, to be frank, most of those shows pointing out American ignorance regarding their own nation are made on home turf. But
I think when you go around the world, if you ask people, a lot of people want to live in the USA. A lot of people want to live the American dream. Let's say, there's not many people I see going around the world saying I really want to go live in Saudi Arabia.
No.
Or Mozambique or wherever it may be. It's one of them. But it's, at the same time, I think what you've got is a lot of people look down on America in a way of like saying, the arrogance and the ignorance and whatever it comes down with, until they need help.
Yeah.
And then it's like the USA will help us.
Yeah.
In war or in finance or whatever it may be. And it's sort of like everyone looks to the USA as the big brother, don't they?
I think
So
they
like
think the same about Russians.
I don't know. I only know a couple of Russians. Sort of things.
The people I know, the Russian are lovely, but I think the general thing is that the big and loud and.
Yeah, I mean, I think just the way my portrayal of Russia, if someone says to me, describe a Russian, I'd say
It's like hugging
drunk,
a bear,
drunk
like
and
a
racing
bottle of
bears,
vodka.
and exactly, with a machine gun or a tank.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not true, is it?
No, I know.
It's just, and people say about British people, what do you say about a British person? Somebody wears a bowler hat, carries an umbrella, and talks like this.
Got bad teeth.
Got bad teeth, things like that. Yeah.
All the Germans have got hairy armpits.
Oh, that's true.
find people outside of the USA saying things like they don't know anything about history, not even their own. They believe only in their own heroic narrative and think the French Revolution is a roller coaster. We're told Americans are so insular, they are out of their depth when they walk out of the front door. But is any of this true? Listen to this. There's a cult of ignorance in the United States, and there always has been. The strain of anti-intellectualism has been a constant thread winding its way through our political and cultural life, nurtured by the false notion that democracy means that my ignorance is just as good as your knowledge. Those words were spoken by the American scientist Isaac Asimov. But the fact that those words were his means there's a contradiction in terms. America is constantly ablaze with creative thinking. There is a daily conflagration of innovation, thoughtful introversion, skepticism, groundbreaking scientific research, world-changing fiction, reasonable, intelligent discourse appearing in blogs, podcasts, etc. But it turns out a lot of people, including inside America and outside, believe a culture of ignorance is propagated there. Is there any data to support this? Yeah, there seems there is. The Big Think wrote a story in 2013 with the title, "Why Are Americans So Ignorant?" And indeed, within the article is a lot of compelling evidence that many, in some cases most Americans, know very little about how their own country works, or worked, and don't even ask about the rest of the world. Weak civics curricula, partisan propaganda, and misplaced priorities of the mainstream media all share some blame for American ignorance, the writer says. But we feel it goes deeper than that. We'll let you decide. Number 3, positiveness and friendliness. We've really been bashing America, so now we'll look at a positive stereotype. as equally untrue for all Americans. We must add, though, that when it comes to generalizations of countries, many people harbor a negative bias. How many of you have ever uttered the words, "Oh, I really don't like the English, the French, the Indian, the Chinese"? Just add your nation to the list. We recently saw a comment made by a young American who has gone to study in the UK. He couldn't wait to get out, saying the atmosphere for the most part was gray, unfriendly, and intimidating. Maybe he just went to the wrong place, but one might argue that Americans are in general more open and positive than Brits. We might remember what the dry, wry British celebrity intellectual Stephen Fry said about his trip to the US when he made a show about travel there. He said this sense of outgoing positivity he enjoyed, and he said it's something the Brits were missing. You can do it in America.
I don't know, walk through New York City on a Monday at 11 o'clock in the morning, or 10 o'clock in the morning or whatever. People aren't there. You've got the anger of like people, and it kind of shines through your everyday New Yorker who's in a rush. So like walking away.
I think any big city's like that.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
London's
I know very unfriendly.
A lot of people who have lived in London said they hated it.
Yeah, London's head down, keep yourself to yourself, don't bother anyone.
Yeah.
The further north you go, I think it gets more friendlier.
It's like the south. We went to the south and they were so friendly.
In the USA?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the USA is a friendly place in general. Yeah. I think it's one of them where people are intrigued about what they can discuss with you. They want to know a little bit about you. They want to know where you're from, what you do. They want to know a little bit of history about you as a person. I always found, and it's they're intrigued as well because you're a foreigner. Yeah. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
America, or at least many people are taught to think they can. While back in Britain, perhaps the most downtrodden submit to the fact that life is hard, painful. Where's the beer? What some people call arrogance, Fry said, was partly American optimism, or what he said was a refusal to see oneself in a bad light. He added, if you go to an American bookshop, by far the biggest section is the self-help and improvement. He said people believe that life is refinable and improvable. That's how America works, he said. You adapt and you find ways to improve, you never submit. Hell yeah, he loves that about America. Take that in your British pipes and smoke it. We think we might add here that a lot of people have experienced this, and while harboring the stereotype that Americans are outgoing and confident, those same people might hold a counter generalization that sometimes this positivity climax is a bit too hard. It jumps the shark. And then, within this transposition, it manifests as something deplorable to others. It turns into pride without substance, blind faith, a superiority complex that is bathed only in its own ignorance. Number 2. Money. It's all about money. If you've ever read critiques on Hollywood versus cinema, you'll find that Hollywood is said to be firstly, perhaps only, a money-making enterprise. European cinema, we're told, is more about the art. In an American film, often the happiest of all happiest endings is when they get away with the money. What else could matter? If you want to make a movie in Hollywood, first show bits of it to the most average consumers and ask what they think. Then make the film based on the results. Even if the movie might be greeted with intense dislike by more refined audiences, it's all about cash, goddammit. We won't spend long on this, but America didn't invent capitalism. It's evidently just been very good at it. But at the same time, America embraces free speech, and critics of capitalism and neoliberalism abound in the country. America, the foundation of the United States, was built to have restrictions in place for if or when any behemoth gets out of control and gains too much power. We won't address the complications or merits of this today, but we will say that much of the world thinks America is overly money-centered, more than, say, focused on happiness gained from other means than merely being rich and having lots of things. Number 1. Americans are all fat.
I think the money thing, it's a very rich country as far as like it's got everything you need there, hasn't it? Sort of thing. But when you look at other cash-rich countries and then you look at poor countries, the poor countries want more money. The ones that've got more money are blamed for being a cash-rich country. Yeah. They don't want for having. It's all about the money. Yeah, of course it is, because they've got the wealth. They've got the. You look at places in the Middle East that they're not oil rich. It's got the wealth that goes there. And then you look at other oil-rich countries like, say, Nigeria, for example, who don't cascade the money down into the community. It just stays at the top. It doesn't filter down. Whereas in the USA, it's a land of opportunity, isn't it? Yeah. So you've got everything you can do there.
If you work hard, you can make a good living.
And making a good living makes people happy at the end of the day.
And I think this one, all Americans are fat. It depends where you go. If you go,
well, it's obviously not true, is it?
No, but what I'm saying is, there are areas in America where people are obese, and I think it's the diet they have, like the
It's the cheaper food, isn't
Yeah,
it?
There probably is quite a lot that are
Yeah, you see when it's more
too
poverty,
big than
when
they
it's,
should be,
when it's
yeah.
more impoverished areas.
compared
I
to
think.
other countries.
yeah. But if you go to somewhere like California, where they're all obsessed with the weight, they're all underweight.
I don't know, I'm not sure about that. I think you get that in every country. I think you get everything, all shapes and sizes in every country.
Yeah.
Some Europeans and other citizens of the world like nothing more than to show their own superiority by constantly defaming Americans for their ingrained bad habits and slovenly TV-addicted fast food-related obesity. It is a fact that some part of America has a problem with eating, and this has led to what's called an obesity epidemic that has resulted in widespread health complications. Your average Asian might touch down in, say, Houston for the first time and think they've discovered a land of giants. But America is not the fattest country in the world. It's around the 17th according to the WHO. It's the fattest Western nation, but a lot of other Western countries are not far behind in terms of obesity. Obesity crises are happening in the UK, New Zealand, Ireland, Australia, and many other nations. We can hardly say the junk food epidemic is an American affliction only. And on the other hand, many Americans are fitness freaks. It's a fitness-conscious country as well as a nation of couch-bound sugar junkies. Just look at popular podcasts such as The Joe Rogan Show, and you'll see that health, longevity, physical improvement is on the minds of many Americans. You could even go as far to say that this new wave of health improvement is being led by an American avant-garde. But yes, the stereotype of fat America is hardly only imaginary. We could have added more to this list, but we feel if we're to debate these stereotypes in the comments, we might leave it here as it could get confusing. Do you think any of these stereotypes are true? Do you take offense to any of them, or do you think that they are merely criticisms that can lead to improvement? We'd love to hear from Americans and all of you.
So I don't think any stereotypes are really true if you're trying to take like a whole country and put it into
That's what I'm
one
saying. It's such a
person.
huge country. Like I say, there's going to be certain areas where the diet is completely different than another area.
Yeah.
So you're going to have obesity.
When you think about the size of Europe and you take into consideration European countries, you look at some countries where the people are a lot bigger than what they are in other countries.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same as USA. You're gonna have certain regions, like you say, of different things. But I don't know, like you said there, it's when you've got stereotypes going around. You know, it's like people think everyone in England dresses in a bowler hat. And next thing he puts a guy with a bowler hat saying
Yeah.
England. You know, it's I don't think I've ever seen anyone in a bowler hat ever.
Yeah.
You know, unless it's in a movie.
But everyone probably thinks we have like tea and crumpets every morning and
Yeah.
stuff. Do you know what I mean?
At the Queen's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all walking around like it. And everyone knows each other.
Yeah.
Such a small country that it's that everyone thinks we know each other. You know, someone said to me once years ago, remember, someone says,
Yeah.
I've got a mate called John who lives in London, do you know him? And I actually went, yeah. And he went, no way.
It's probably like 50,000 Johns in London.
Yeah.
50,000 Johns at in one little
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
It's, but yeah, stereotypes of, like you said, for me, it's not something I always think of. It's you use it as a slur if you want,
Yeah.
or a joke. You know, when you're talking to people and say, "Oh, all you Americans, you're all fat and you're all loud and you're all, whatever they said on there, ignorant and arrogant."
Yeah.
But I don't know all the Americans I know don't fit any of them profiles.
No.
You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, hope you let us know in the comments what you guys think. Do we all wear bowler hats
With bad teeth.
and tea and crumpets, like you say, every day, and cake at the Queen's or the King's
And our
now?
food's terrible.
Yeah, and our food's really, real bad, our food. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and see you on the next one.
Cheers.
Bye.